So, hi, my name is Jeff, and I'm coming from the Keller Williams community, and I'm a commercial real estate broker. Uh, I saw the training that they were offering to the residential agents, and I really thought that that was impressive that they would spend that much time offering training and getting into a lot of the details about how an agent could build their business out and then eventually transform that into a business model where it got away from the individual and now started to focus more on the team. So what I wanted to do was to see if I could take the Keller Williams residential training and spin it in a way that would help me try to grow my business and build a team. So when I saw that they were coming out with the next series of classes on the Mentor Network, uh, decided to go ahead and throw my name in the hat and take one of those classes just to see what it was. And it was one of Kristen's initial courses that she offered. But once I got into it, I started to see that, yes, I could take that information and use it in a way to help me kind of grow my business. But what it did was it gave me the timeout that I needed in order to think about my business because I'd been so much heads down and trying to work on deals and manage clients and things that I didn't have as much time to put into it as I thought I was. But once I was able to go through the class and look at how Kristen laid out the steps and then start applying those principles to how I should lay out my business, that's what gave me the time to start realizing that I still had a lot more to do. If you're an agent and you're doing more individual transactions, but you feel as though you want to try to take your business to the next level, which is to manage your own team and even grow your business out so that it actually becomes your own kind of small business. Definitely the time that I invested in the courses with Kristen really helped me to understand what I had to do to um, not only leverage my time and investment, but how to incorporate other people as a part of that. So I really do give credit to the courses I took that helped me understand, how do I take myself to the next level. It wasn't that I didn't know that that's what I wanted to do. It's just that I didn't know how to do it. I thought I did, but it wasn't until I sat through the classes, had that mentorship and somebody to show me the roadmap and then kind of say, you are here, but then here's where you're trying to go. And then give me those steps to get there. So if you're an individual agent and you're looking at how can I grow my business, um, not only educating yourself, but then trying to find a mentor that can help you understand where you are, what's the tools and resources that you need, and then how do you apply those to the next step. Those were the things that I took as takeaways out of what I did when I took those classes. So my team is started off with me, and then I wanted to try to flush that out. One of the things I learned in the course for Scale Your Business was to leverage other people's time. What I challenged myself was how do I find somebody to be a part of my team that can pick up some of the work that was keeping me busy, but was holding me back from having the more valuable conversations where I was converting clients into customer or converting leads into paying clients. So what I did was I took the message from there and went and sought virtual assistants, and it helped me understand what do I give to a virtual assistant, what can I trust a virtual assistant to do, but then more importantly, how do I use that as part of my system and then make it a process within my client engagements. So that's what I got out of it was scale my business, first trying to understand my systems, then having somebody to help me manage those systems so that now as I'm ready to bring on a new agent or another broker, I've got something to plug them into. So with that, since I started off with myself, understood what my systems were, learned how to plug in a virtual assistant, in this case is how it worked for me. Then I went out and hired one of my first brokers to join the team. So now I went from just myself to a small team of VAs and another broker. For me, running my business, I wear all the hats. Starting off with just myself, I'm doing everything. But when I made the commitment that I wanted to invest in some training and education, knowing that I was trying to get somewhere with it, I looked at what the course was. It was an 8-week program. It looked like that the training itself was 1 hour a day for each of those 8 weeks, or not a day, but the training was 1 hour a week for each of those 8 weeks. But they give you some initial classes to watch, some videos. They give you the workbooks. For me, what I found was that I would make my notes on the homework assignments during the class, and then I would set the priority though during my week to try to make that commitment that, hey, I want this, so I need to get this done. And when we got to the next session, we always started off with a reflection of what did you do for the homework from the previous week. There were enough people, though, that would participate, that would come back with a lot of other ideas that would help me understand more about how to look at those exercises, but then implement some other things in my business. So it wasn't just that it was me doing it, on my own, is that there was class participation. So with that being kind of the background of it, I probably spent maybe 30 minutes a day, give or take, on my own time to go through the lesson, read what the homework assignment was, and then really reflect and try to put myself into those scenarios. But by doing that, what it enabled me to do was to kind of map out how my business was going to grow. But I don't think that if I had taken the time to do that, I think if I had just taken the classes and then just moved on, I wouldn't have gotten the value for it. So I think that while the time commitment up front is small, it really comes down to what you do with that information as far as what value do you get after the course is over with. But for me, once I got done with that and I saw just how much that first 8 weeks changed my outlook, it changed the way my business was being run for myself, and then as I try to grow my team, that made me hungry for the next class. So I knew that I was getting value for it, and even though I wasn't doing the residential side of what the training was more focused towards, I was able to leverage all the information and use it for my side of the business as well. So for me, I don't usually pick something up unless I really intend to do it. So in this case, I knew it was something that I wanted to do. So I just made the time to do it. And in the end, I'm glad that I did, because now it was only maybe a short 5 months later. And now I have a team. And so that's what I'm really excited about. So what I really walked away with, for example, was coming out of the Scale Your Business was also the career visioning courses. So I didn't really understand what career visioning was, even though I'm kind of coming from the Keller Williams family here where I'm at, but they never used that with me. So when I first heard career visioning, I was thinking this is going to be all about goal setting, is what I thought it was going to be. So I kind of sat back at first and thought, well, I've got goals. I'm just kind of struggling with making them my reality, only because I was just so busy. But when we got into career visioning and I realized that this was recruiting, it was onboarding, it was building a team, then I got even really excited about that, because that's exactly what I was wanting to do. But I thought I had to go through this goal setting, exercise first, which we all kind of think, oh, that's the boring stuff, right? But really, that's the important stuff. But to get back to the career visioning, what it did for me was I used the whole career visioning program in order to hire my first broker. And I did interview a couple of others that were not good fits. But if I hadn't seen the steps and the process that we use for the career visioning, I probably would have hired some people that are not a good fit for what I really wanted to accomplish. So the person that I hired here recently, I'm really excited about, because they're almost the perfect fit for what I wanted. But I wouldn't have been able to understand that without going through that career visioning process too. I would definitely recommend other agents taking this class. For one, you always want to continue to invest in your education. So even if it's just for that pure, simple need, invest in yourself, learn more about what is possible, so that when you're working towards your goals, you know not only how to achieve them, but then at what point do you exceed them. So it's always good to have something as an investment in yourself. But I would say the next biggest reason to take these classes as a way of learning more is, how else are you going to grow your team? Uh, it is very rare that it happens organically, that your business just grows. And it's also even more rare that if it's growing, that you know everything you need to know to handle that whole situation of what's happening in your business. I was really impressed with that when I started to peel it back with the Keller Williams model on how to scale your business, that they actually had everything very well thought out. What I did was I took the career visioning books as they were provided to us as a PDF. But what I did was I went and had the books printed into small little manuals that I could use to take notes in so that I can keep them on my desk as a desk reference. And if I had one handy here, I'd pull it right up, but I think I left it downstairs because I was trying to use it on the phone a little bit earlier. But anyways, I use those little manuals now because it walks through the career visioning process. And when I was interviewing one of the candidates, I just opened that book up and followed right through some of the questions that I had noted in there. And that's how I use that information. So if you're wanting to grow your team, understand that even if you're experiencing some period of growth, if you want to maintain the growth and if you want to know how to leverage it in a way that it becomes part of your new reality, if you will, then yeah, definitely taking the classes. They spell it out. They tell you exactly everything that you need to know. And then they also offer up the additional mentorship that if you got questions or if you're not really sure how to implement something, I've found that asking my questions during the classes, emailing my questions afterwards, and even reaching out sometimes directly one-to-one, that really helped me a lot to kind of pull it all together. So I definitely enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much and I got so much value out of it that I continued with that learning. And I'm still taking some of the classes today still to try to make sure that I've got everything kind of nailed down perfectly in my business. And I'm really excited about trying to grow it. That was one of my goals this year. So I'm really glad that I took the time to take that first class and that it did offer me what I was looking for.